kids and everything, we believe that we ought to eliminate the minimum wage. And number two is, if you were voting to bring back today, would you vote yes or no? Thank you very much.
Those are both very tough questions. I would not vote to repeal the minimum wage. The second thing, on the DREAM Act. The DREAM Act in itself is something that I think an issue that needs to be addressed. The DREAM Act, by the way, which is children of people who were brought here illegally. But I think that we also need a guest worker program. I think we also need to we need to look at the issue of this whole immigration issue in a broad fashion. And second of all, in 1986, my friends, Ronald Reagan, my hero, said, we're going to give amnesty to 2 million people, and the issue will never rise again. Well, we gave amnesty to 2 million people. We now have 12 million people in this country illegally. So before we act on these, and it is a terrible problem, children who are brought here by their parents against their will. But I don't want to have 10 years from now us to go back and have to revisit that issue again. That's why border security is also a vital part of immigration reform, and I can only take 2 more questions. One from you, sir. Over here.
I don't think it might.
Want to say that?
All right. Question I have of being retired every year, you fill out your income tax papers, and you're filling out like 20 pages of income tax papers every year, and you get everybody complains about the fact that all these loopholes. Everybody has loopholes. You know what I mean? And they complain about those loopholes that the big businesses have. I don't understand why we have to fill out 20 pages of income tax papers. Why can't they go down to 1 page? Why can't you turn around and say, this is how much I made, this is how much I pay? We have 3 levels of taxes that everybody pays. Okay, you pay this percent, you pay this percent, you pay this percent. And I don't understand that. We're all Americans. We're all equal. Should we tax women more than men? Yeah. Should we tax all
They spend more.
How about religion? Should we tax certain religions more? Or color? You know what I mean? Everybody sits there and talks about all these differences, and you sit there and you want to sit there and say, oh, these people have this money, we can tax them up the hill. And I'm just saying, 1 equal tax, get rid of all loopholes. Okay? And the people who have a job and they're working, it automatically comes out of their paycheck, but wouldn't have to even file an income tax.
Thank you, sir. First of all, you're exactly right. There's no one that I know on earth that understands the tax code completely. It's not that high. And it is a testimony of the influence of special interests and lobbyists in Washington. And I think most Americans, though, honestly would think that 3 tax brackets is fair. I don't think that would be unreasonable. But really, we've got to get rid of these loopholes. I mean, it is just unacceptable. What happens is Americans lose faith in the system. When that happens, then we have an enormous problem. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Thank you for coming and listening to us all. I'm a realtor. One thing that is really concerning us is this 20% down for buyers. Buyers will not be able to afford that. I know that not every person deserves a home, should be a home. There are some folks that should rent. But the ones that do want a home, that really need one, they won't be able to come up with the 20% down. So we're hoping that you don't do that. And then also the interest rates, we need that also. But if you could discuss the housing market, I'd appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
Well, houses for nothing, expecting sometime in the future for them to be paid off. We've got to get the housing market stabilized. Most people have been pretty respectful today, except for you. Now, I say thank you all for your courtesy. Thank you for being here. Thank you very much.
Parting comments?
Comedy was the best part.
What a colossal waste of an hour of our day.
That's what I said.